Okay. Welcome again, everybody, to the LEYM Peace and Justice, Stimulating Doable Peace and Justice Work in Our Meeting Workshop. So we're going to start out with Phil Volk from Ann Arbor Monthly Meeting, and he's going to give us a brief inspirational story on how Ann Arbor's meetings, Peace and Justice Committee, overcame their challenges and met and had victories in their work. Phil?
Okay. I was asked to be the convener for Ann Arbor Peace and Social Justice. And because I had some organizational skills, the first thing I realized that they hadn't had a meeting for over 6 months. So we decided to have monthly meetings, but also we had set times and dates. That's extremely important. Our meeting, I saw so much time wasted trying to figure out what's the best time for everybody. So we narrowed it down the second Monday of every month at 7:30 on Zoom. They may not make the first one, but eventually they know that and they put it in their calendars. Also, I've committed to 1 hour only. If the agenda runs long, it's moved to the next month. That way, people know that they have 1 hour that they can commit to peace and social justice. I send out the agenda a week ahead of time asking for suggestions. And if I get some, I add it. If not, then we go with that agenda. We have our committee, but under our committee is subgroups called groups. We have the East African Education Fund. One of our members went to Africa and decided that she wanted to develop scholarships for young people there. So we got together, organized, and made it happen. And now there's something like 20 kids in East Africa that are getting scholarships. We also built water wells there, and we also are supplying food because there's a drought in the area. We have PAG, which is a Palestinian Israel Action Group. And one of our, oh, sorry about that. Yes, the Palestinian Israel Action Group, which one of our members who has passed away set up a fund to send people that are interested to travel to Palestine and come back and report what they see. And this has been a valuable insight to what's really going on in Palestine. The important thing for a convener is to listen to people's passion. And that's what I try to do. And then try to ministrate to get it off the ground. Like if they need meetings set up, if they need a room to meet in, we try to set it up for Zoom. And I try to get to the first couple meetings to see how I can help nurture it. And that has been a wonderful, wonderful way to go. We have young people. We have a justice reform group who's led by a civil rights lawyer. And we're working within the prisons and trying to get rid of the bail situation in Michigan. And it's all, they had the ideas, they came to it, I just set up meetings and they just took off. It's wonderful to have multi-generational people. We also have the Friends Peace team. Someone came to us and said they wanted to put it together. I said, well, the committee decided to support it. Whenever they need a room, whenever they need finance, they come to us and we support them in any way we can. Some people came to us and said, we're worried about the indigenous people. We set up an indigenous action group. We are now helping 2 organizations and helping develop a third one. One is the United Three Fires Against Violence, which is on the reservations and has counseling on those for education of sexual violence and counseling for these people right on the reservations. We also are working with the missing, which is a big thing in Michigan. We have a lot of indigenous women that are taken off the reservation, but because of jurisdiction problems, the local police can't go into the reservations and reservation police can't arrest a white person. So it's a very tricky situation. And we're trying to work to change legislation there. And again, we had a group come to us and said, we want to work on immigration issues. So once again, we just set up some meetings, got them going, and I don't mean I always sit back, but I always just let them create what they want to do, and it's just wonderful. Now we went from 4 older people that were members of the meeting to 16 intergenerational people. And that's a great movement. And it's just all in just listening and listening to their passions. But we've also had problems. And that's when, as a convener, you have to know your studies of Quakerism and our values and kind of internalize them. We had one person that went to Palestine, came back very, well, I say, gently say zealous about the Palestinian issue. And he wanted our meeting to support the war, the Palestinian fighting against Israel. And I tried to explain to him, I had to sit down with him twice and try to explain that's not the Quaker way. We try to listen to both sides. And lasting peace can't happen unless both sides' fear and hopes are listened to. And eventually, in a gentle, kind, elderly way, we got over it. We had another member that was very pro-Palestinian who during our worship service would stand up and start giving messages, political messages about Palestine. And we had to sit him down and say, no, that's not the right time. We have ample places where you can listen, talk to, and we'll work with you. But meeting for worship is not the time to express your non-spiritual concerns about politics. So we have had to rein in a few people, but for most part, the meeting has been absolutely supportive. When they see these things going, they're jumping in, and it's just getting a positive attitude and just kind of listen. And I have to shut up sometimes, and this may be a good time for me to be quiet. And if there's any questions.
I actually have a
Phil, I
question
can't.
for you, Phil.
What's that?
I actually have a question for you, Phil.
Yeah.
So it sounds like what you do is when people have their passions, you let them go off and form like task forces or subcommittees, and then you use that hour for people to come back and report what they're doing, what the work they're doing. Is that how it goes?
Yes.
Okay.
And during our committee, we also generate our own activities. So we do a lot of awareness programs. Yesterday, hands off, we found that a lot of our members wanted to have carpooling. So we set up carpooling to get them there. And we were in a group feeling a little more safer during that time. So peace and social justice does its independent stuff, but we also listen to people and make sure they get the guidance they need to stay within the Quaker values as well as their own passions.
Well, we really appreciate you sharing with us, Phil. We wanted to invite one of the monthly meetings that had an active peace and social justice committee work to start off and share with us a little bit about their journey and to normalize a little bit this process that sometimes it's difficult to even get a group started. Sometimes it's difficult to keep it focused and on track. And sometimes it's difficult even to sustain the meeting because you can get at loggerheads over certain issues and those sort of things. So in our meeting today, we want to basically, I'm going to put this into the chat. And I'm going to encourage everybody, if you would, to turn on your chat feature. It's a little button down at the bottom of your screen that has little um, speaking bubbles. If you click that, then you should have a column of folks that will come up. And I'm going to be posting some things in the chat that you'll be able to see. I'm also going to share my screen in a moment, and we're going to use a little worksheet to gather some of the information we're going to exchange with each other today. And we're going to also ask you, if you haven't done so yet, if you'd maybe take just a moment and type in your name and the name of your meeting. If you don't want to give your name personally, that's fine, but I would appreciate it if you type in the name of your meeting so we'd have roughly an idea of what kind of representation we were able to enjoy from our yearly meeting, monthly meetings. You'll see a couple people have already begun to do that. So thank you so much. Thank you, Wink. Today, as we think about stimulating effective peace and justice work, and we think about the challenges of forming and developing and sustaining that work, what we want to do today is ask ourselves roughly 3 questions and then share thoughts. This workshop today is a very focused workshop. And one of the potential obstacles that we could run into is we could digress into long discussions on a particular thought. And today we'd like to refrain from doing that because we're trying to collect as many ideas as we can to then come back and develop out more thoroughly and more fully. So if you can kind of keep that in mind, we're looking for your thought, and we're looking for a brief summary of that thought in maybe just a few words, and I'll show you how we'll do that in just a moment. Now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can remember how to share my screen here. See. I know there's a share. Oh, there it is. Okay, here's my share screen button. And I'm going to see if friends can see. Okay, my little worksheet here. Okay, I've got all kinds of windows open here that I don't want. Okay, you can see that. Great. All right. Now I'm going to come back and see if I can visualize and see everyone. There, that's the button I needed. Okay. This will give me the ability on 2 screens to be able to see you as well as to interact with you, which is good. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm back, and I can bring up the chat. Yay. All right. So today we're going to talk about stimulating effective peace and justice work. Sometimes people say, well, what is that? What are committees involved in? What do we do to stimulate the work? And today I've just put this at the top as a reminder, rather than, it's not the focus of the seminar, but the things that we find that tend to stimulate effective work in this area is to identify an issue of concern one at a time, and then raise awareness about that issue for engagement with your meeting. And you'll quickly see if the spirit's leading in the meeting because people will resonate with the issue and want to be involved. Then we educate the meeting on ways folks might participate in whatever initiative we might think we'd take regarding that issue. And then, having been educated, we're in a position to begin to advocate for our community to change. And we're going to focus mostly on local community work in this workshop, thinking in terms of being a local meeting. We can change first ourselves, and then we can change our meeting, and then we can change our community. But if we go out and try to change the community before we have come into consensus as a meeting, or we've worked on nonviolent issues in ourselves, then we find that we don't have the power that we need to make the change. So we advocate for community change. We'll say local community will be our illustrations in this workshop. And we collaborate with local, regional, and national organizations in whatever direct action we might choose to participate in, such as the hands-off marches that all occurred yesterday is a good example of that. So that's just background. That just lets you know that's the kind of stuff a peace and social justice committee would work. And what we want to do is form work groups or committees that can develop that kind of activity and sustain it long enough so that it would have a chance to really make a difference. And so I'm going to start and show you the way we'll do that. We're going to go into small groups in a minute, and I'm going to ask Brad Wade, who is our co-host and our wonderful support, and we thank him because we couldn't do this at all today without Brad, believe me. And Brad's going to put us into little breakout rooms, probably 3 people a breakout room, roughly with the number we have right now. And I'm going to ask you, when you go into your breakout room, okay, to take this list, which I'm going to copy and put in the chat. And I want you to take this list and say, what stands in our way? It'd be particularly great if you'd think just in terms of your monthly meeting. In other words, when you think about forming a group, if your monthly meeting doesn't have one, well, what stands in the way of us forming one? And then just a thought. Well, an example of that would be, well, gosh, it's hard to form a committee because folks are just too busy. You don't need a solution. Okay, at this point, we're not jumping ahead to solutions. We're going to come back and work on that. We want to know what stands in the way. What's an obstacle? If you can come up with 2 or 3 thoughts, that'd be great. If you just get one, that would be fine because we'll have enough to do this. And then we'll populate all the thoughts that are shared in this area when we come back. Okay, when we come back we'll probably have 15 minutes in your small group. That'll give each person 3 to 5 minutes to share any thoughts that they have, and y'all can PowerPoint. You probably want to appoint a scribe in your little breakout group, someone that's taking notes, not taking notes of everything that's said, but taking notes of the 1, 2, 3 thoughts you have. Notice how short this thought is. Folks are full busy. Okay, it doesn't go into why they're full busy or any of the detail about it. It's just we all recognize, yeah, folks are full busy. Okay, and then if you want to, let's say you've already got a group formed, and maybe in your thought in your breakout group is, well, developing the work in our group is hard. We've got a group, but boy, what we find that stands in our way is we don't have the resources we need. In other words, we don't have the people, we don't have people with skills, we don't have finances, we don't have a network, we don't have, what is it you don't have that stands in the way of your already formed group doing the work of peace and social justice? So maybe that's where your thought contribution will come from based on your monthly meeting. Or maybe your thought will come from, well, we've got a group, and we've got a group that has, more or less the resources we need to work. But darn, if we're just not able to agree on anything. We get into arguments, we get into conflict, we get sidetracked, we chase rabbit trails on small points, or whatever it is you find that when you are in your meeting, it's hard to sustain the actual work of the group. Sometimes it's hard to sustain the existence of the committee because when we did our survey, we did a big survey at the end of last year of all the meetings. One of the things that came up repeatedly was the conflict would become so bad that they'd have to shut the committee down for a while to let everybody simmer down and cool off. And so, what is it you find that's keeping you from moving forward with those resources that you have? So plenty of things that you can contribute. Okay. Again, if you would just think about your meeting's current situation, we're going to ask ourselves, what is it in your meeting right now that is your biggest challenge? And in fact, I'm going to see if Brad's able to put that little statement in there for us where we want to know what friends think is their meeting's biggest challenge. And again, we're looking at it from the standpoint of our group formation. Okay, let's see if I can now. Okay, nope, that's not the way I want to do that. I think do it from the bottom up. There we go. Nope, didn't get it still. There we go. Okay, and I can copy that. And I'm going to paste this little question outline in there as well. So if you think about what do friends think is their meeting's biggest peace and social justice challenge, again, we're looking at it through the lens of group formation or work development or group sustainment, whatever your group is dealing with that you'd like to share in this first one. And then when we come back, we're going to take that list and we're going to get as many ideas here as we can. And then we're going to go to the second question, which is going to be what opens the way. So again, right now, don't give solutions. See if you can give obstacles because that'll help us build this list out. Then the last thing I'm going to say is this. We're recording this and we're going to take down all these ideas and we're going to put them into a handout. And then we're going to put our recording on the Lake Erie Yearly Meeting webpage for Peace and Social Justice Committee and the handout. So any groups that were not able to be here today can come back and watch what we're doing now and learn how they can take this process back into their meeting and come up with some doable ideas. You'll see the value of that more as we get toward the end of our time together. So I'm going to stop right now and say we're going to go into breakout rooms. Any question about what you're going to do when you get there? You're going to say hello, give your name, appoint a scribe, not visit about the weather, not visit about the march yesterday or any of those sort of things because we won't have time. Okay, but if you'll give your name and appoint a scribe, and then start talking about some ideas and come back with 2, 3, 4, whatever you think you can do. Did I see anybody wave their hand? Did I miss anybody, Brad? I can't hear you, Brad. I think I got you muted.
I'm not able to look at everyone as like you are. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That's not to worry then. Okay, I don't think I've missed anybody.
John, I have a question.
Oh,
Just
we do. Okay.
time-wise, how long are you putting us in groups for?
We're going to be 15 minutes. You should have roughly 3 per person. That's roughly 3 to 5 minutes. And I think we're going to set it up in such a way as that it'll automatically bring you back at the end of 15 minutes. And it should give you, if we're perfect, it'll give you a 1-minute warning, okay, of when we're going to do that. So kind of watch your clock. Anybody else? Oh, thank you, everybody, for showing up. This is a wonderful turnout for us. Thank you. Okay, we're good to go, Brad, whenever you're ready to move us into groups. By golly, Brad, I think it worked. I've got the breakout room schedule here in front of me. Do you have that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
You wanted me in a room. I was going to put myself in a room if you wanted.
Tell you what, it looks like we've got 3.
We have 3 in every room.
Do we? Then it's just up to you if you want to be in a room. Another thing we can do is, for example, you and I can join a room and listen to them. You see what I mean? And coach them if we need to. But
Well, I'm not feeling terribly centered today.
Okay, yeah.
With computer problems and my dog
You are doing fantastic, and staying back here for us is a good idea. I think I'm just going to let them run. I don't think I'm going to jump in there because I'll distract people.
Yeah,
Uh,
very
but
good.
this is awesome. So now we got a clock going there at the top, I see.
Yes, a
And
countdown.
so, yeah. And then I think there's a button down here below called broadcast. And
Oh,
I'm going to use that at each 5-minute interval. And the broadcast would be time to go to the next person.
oh, very
And
good.
what that'll do is it'll just tell them time to go into the next person. And then the 1-minute warning should start if we pick that in the options. And I think this is going fine. Did you think my explanation was clear enough, or was it too convoluted?
No, it seemed fine to me.
Okay. Well, you're not a really good test case because you're exceptionally bright. I'm looking for someone that's, got that 5th grade education.
But I am distracted today, so
Oh,
if it
well,
got through, my distraction, that's pretty good.
with all you've got going on, I can't thank you enough for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. I wonder if our conversation right now is part of the recording.
It's not. I paused the recording. If it is,
Oh,
it's okay. But I paused the
oh,
recording.
very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
when we went into, I think I paused the recording. Let me see.
You could edit it with a video editor if you.
Yeah, no, it's still recording. I didn't pause it. Okay. Yeah, we'll come back and we'll edit it. But I'm going to go ahead and pause it now.
Very
Help
good.
me remember to turn it back on when we come back into the large group, if you will. Okay. I think most of us have come back now. Can everybody hear me okay? We're still connected. All right, very good. I hope you had a wonderful experience. I'm going to share my screen again for just a moment. And I need to come back and remember how I did that. There's the button. Okay. And I want to be sure. Nope, I want to share my screen. There it is. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. And so can you see my screen at this point with the little board? Okay. People saying yes. All right. So what we've done is we're here today to talk about stimulating effective peace and justice work in our monthly meetings. And we've talked a little bit about what that kind of work looks like. Then we talked about the challenge before us today is to query is how do we form those groups and develop and sustain them? And so we went to the first of those questions and we said, well, what's our biggest challenge? What stands in the way? And particularly, we're interested in what stands in the way of a group formation, if that's what our meeting needs, or the development of the work, if that's what our meeting needs, or the sustainment of that work, if that's what our meeting needs. So what stands in the way? And so we had 4 breakout rooms, and we had, I think, roughly 3 people in each one. And I asked you to appoint a scribe who would write down the thoughts that you had around those 3 areas. And we're going to now populate this column here with thoughts. So if we go to room 1, who is your scribe, and would you be willing to share with us what your group discussed?
What were the group numbers?
Let me come back, and I think I even did a screenshot of that I'll be able to share with you. And so, okay, if I take this out here and bring this
Okay.
up.
Now that
So
helps. Thank you.
room 1 would be, yeah, our Birmingham friends.
I can see it.
And Jack Smith and Tom Kangas. Who was your scribe? Jack, if you're the scribe, you're muted, friend.
I don't think we had a scribe, but I'll report.
Okay, that's great.
we had 3 different meetings represented, and if this is group formation, one meeting was just forming peace and justice committee. One had one and needed more members, and one had one that has been standing for some time and not really a problem around group formation. So I think I don't know whether there's in any of those 3 cases there's a direct answer to the question.
Let's do that together right now. So if we think of those 3 meetings that were represented for the new one, what stands in the way for you to get one started? In other words, what's just one obstacle you've run into? Anybody can speak up to it in that group? Or in the group that's trying to develop the work? I think you said you didn't have enough members. Was that correct?
Right. One group, the thought of our participant was that they could use a couple more members.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, and how about the group that's been going for a while? Anything that you can think of in this list here we could add a barrier that you would have?
Well, the issue that was raised that about that monthly meetings group is that the current climate makes it very difficult to decide what issues to respond to because there are so many of them.
Okay.
The committee doesn't feel overwhelmed, but that could be a problem into the future. But there's difficult decisions to be made about where to direct friends' attention.
Great. I bet there are a lot of us that are dealing with that. I'm not a very good typist, and I didn't recruit a person to do that for this seminar. That'll, I'm sure, is going to end up being okay. Let's just even go over here. Okay, good. All right, thank you for that. Anything else from your group, Jack, you can think of?
I have something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's pretty important. It doesn't refer directly to a peace and justice committee, but it refers to the general group formation, personal experience. If one individual in the group is very deeply committed to one side of a discussion, he or she can hold up the formation of the work of the group entirely, and that is a major problem. In other words, the group will get nothing done.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to just summarize it that way, finding group consensus for balanced.
Yeah.
Okay, which I'm sure, again, is something that addresses a lot. Okay, let's go to room number 2, which is made up of Kitty, Phil, and Robin. Anybody have a scribe there that can represent?
Yeah, can you hear me? I was going to do that.
Okay, Robin.
Great. So it was an exciting group because Caitlin and Phil were both organizers. Caitlin organized for reproductive rights. Presently, she's working on labor organizing with the building trades. Wow. But she's trying to figure out how do you take that experience and join it to the experience of the Quaker tradition. And one of the questions she had was, what kind of resources are there to maybe help bridge that gap and stuff? Okay. And Phil mentioned a problem, which was that
people tend to go on and on. It's hard for them to be focused. And I think I would sort of second that from our experience in Ann Arbor. I mean, excuse me, in Athens. But but I think the resources is something we might come back to, that people could share resources that have been useful. I think that one of the things I felt is that people don't have experience about how we would cope with the problems that are as big as the challenges we face today. In other words, we need to take a huge jump in commitment and resources, the people, time, and so forth that we need. And so that was basically a summary of our group, that people, us three, have a lot of experience, but how do you translate that into both the meeting doing more and the community doing more?
Okay. Just 1 second. Modify this, help new folks come up to speed with experienced folks. Okay, we'll do something like that right now as a placeholder. Okay, those are great. Others?
No, I think that pretty much covers what we were talking about.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you. Now, let me come then to our next group, which is in our group 3, Barbara and Joseph and Wink. Any scribe among you? And if so, you may be on mute.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Who is
Hear me
it?
now?
Yes.
Oh, Joseph, there you are. Okay.
Yeah, I was
Thank
a
you, sir.
scribe. They've been peace and social justice groups or organizations or committees. They've been a challenge to develop for small meetings. People are quite busy and just aren't able to commit to such endeavors. Some meetings have had peace and social justice committees, but lay them down even more than once. Sometimes because of the personalities, just conflict. One meeting has a local project of a park that it has to maintain, and that may take energy away from a committee like peace and social justice, which is more broader, has a broader horizon in its activities. We've discussed the purposes of the committee, and one is to educate the meeting and then invite them to do work to address problems and concerns. Sometimes there's a problem with leadership of a peace and justice committee, with the commitment to to show up and lead and get things moving. A lot of people have individual causes, and what the committee could do, hopefully, is make them into meeting causes where the whole meeting joins in. One friend reflected that some members of a committee can be overly judgmental and steadfast in opinions and not listening to both sides, which can block further progress. That's pretty much what I had. Others can supplement.
Okay, anything else from our group, this group? Those are awesome. Okay, all right, now let's go to, let's see, would be our,
Group 4 is ready to go.
room 4. Is that what we're looking for? Okay,
We
yep,
had
that'd be Bill, Claire, and
Diane.
Diane. Thank you.
So Bill here, I was our scribe.
Okay,
In terms of group formation, we had a previous incarnation of a group that sort of went bad. It actually led to some members left the meeting in frustration. So there's sort of like a hangover from the previous, like fear that something like that could happen again. So a previous bad experience. The new group could be completely different, but people aren't, they need some help figuring out what the new group could look like.
right.
Another work development one was poor agenda management, where things were agreed to or people weren't listened to in the meeting, or so sort of like the clerk needs to have some organizational abilities or find people who do to help them manage the agenda. And we had, similar to some others that have mentioned it, one group had some really strong personalities that really wanted to control what issues were talked about and sort of wanted to ban certain topics because they weren't in line with their beliefs. So this led to just a lot of problems when I think we already heard Jeff mention that there were people with a particular side that they were committed to and had trouble hearing from others, and actually made it difficult for others to speak. One member in our group described it as almost having a bully in the group.
Mm.
And those were the ones that came up for us. One more, I guess, would be under group formation, there are different needs that people have. Like some people are looking for comfort and healing, sort of sometimes some safety in the storm, where others are looking to take action, for instance. So different needs and figuring out how those might be met.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's what we've got.
Very, very helpful. Thank you. Okay, this is good. Now, if friends would take a look at this list for a second and see if there's anything in here that stimulates for you again, pardon my lack of ability to do this sort of thing. There we go. If there's anything that stimulates another idea here that maybe we missed. Or if you see something in here that didn't get your thought. In other words, it's not close, not even close.
I think, John, that one that I heard that didn't get reflected here is that
Okay.
Explaining the Quaker way, like sort of the Quaker way might be different than a labor organizer's experience.
Right.
I think you tried to put it in there somewhere, but
yeah, I lost it, didn't I?
Materials
Okay.
related to what would be the Quaker approach to these issues or this work. And of course, there's not one Quaker way, so challenging.
Would that be fair, Bill, or would you go spin it different?
Well, I thought I heard somebody saying that it'd be nice if there were some resources that explained the Quaker way.
Okay.
Like there was a booklet that I used at a workshop last year, yearly meeting on Quakers
activism that was put together by
Okay.
the Canadian Friends Service Committee. That was
Yeah, I've seen that. What a resource.
That's more like it, I think. Yeah.
Well, one of the resources, am I unmuted?
Yes, thank you, Robin.
Yeah, one of the resources that we've used in our meeting is this book called On Tyranny. And it's really good because it goes back in history and looks at what happened with authoritarians and or fascists like Hitler and Stalin and the progression they do. And one of the reasons I think that's important is because there's a progression that regimes like that have followed to get control little by little. First, you win an election, both Stalin and Hitler won elections, and then they followed through with subsequent things. So
Right.
personally, I feel a need to ramp up to the demands of our time. And I think that includes some Quaker values, but it also includes how do we move as a community.
Yeah, to understand that. That's good. Now,
Don,
keep
Don,
that title. Keep that
Don,
title.
Yeet had his hand up. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, and I'm coming right back to you. Bill and Robin, keep those two titles in your mind, because when we come to the third section, we're going to want that level of specificity. Okay, so don't let me forget to get it. And yes,
Good.
So my comment echoes just this thought about the Quaker way, and specifically, I recently went through a peace training, and something that I've been looking for in this work, because a lot of the thoughts that have come up have been kind of like addressing the negative, like there's something wrong. And I understand that was the prompt, is like, what is the challenge?
right.
But a lot of what I've found with Quaker process is that there's something really creative, generative, generous, and very joyous. And that doesn't feel, I haven't felt a lot of that in the peace and social concerns, peace and justice work. It feels like a lot of the same kind of corporate troubleshooting, problem solving, and it doesn't have so okay, I see that's where we're going. But that's what I was gonna say.
Hey, and you're spot on. And the fact that that comes to you with such clarity helps us understand why we have to then move away from, well, what's in our way. And remember, even as ancient as Marcus Aurelius, he had one of his sayings where he said, what stands in the way is the way. That's the way to go. Whatever it is that's your obstacle, that's what you're going to have to go through, over, around, or whatever, in order to continue to make your progress. And so that's what we do, is we come back and we say, what opens our way? Now, ideally, in the small group, I don't know how to do this, but I would leave this screen up for the small group to then meet, because what you could do is we could take this list, and essentially what you're doing is you're saying, well, if folks are full busy, well, one thing that might open our way would be for the meeting to be brief and to stay on point. And more people would be willing to do that. You see what I mean? That could be something that would open the way. It's a particular idea. And then when we come to cover 3, we're going to talk about specifics. Well, what would you do to learn how to make meetings brief and stay on the point? Where could you go learn how to do that? And so that's where we're going. So we're going to go back into our small group again. Okay. And this time, what I'd like you to do is to take the same 3 issues, and we said what stands in our way. And then if you can come back and talk about what would be a thought on how we can attract leaders. How can we overcome bad experience in the past? How can we open the way among people with differing needs, competing for attention? And so I think what I'll do, I think you can still access the chat while you're in your breakout room, I think. And so if that's the case, I'm going to copy this and put it in the chat. So if you wanted to refer back to it. But frankly, if we just simply took this idea, what opens our way to better group formation, work development, and group sustainment, we'll come up with ideas that'll pretty well match with that list. Okay, any question about that? All right, Claire. You're on mute.
We're just working with the challenges we came up with in our group, right?
If we stay in the same group, that'd be what I would recommend you do.
Oh,
Is
okay.
take the
Okay.
things that you discussed as challenges and
Okay.
ask yourself, what would open the way for that? Now, this will be a hard one because,
Mhm.
again, we only have the same amount of time and there's a lot you can do. So really do your best to focus on that issue and just come up with popcorn responses. There's no wrong idea because we're trying to be creative at this point. Okay. So let's work within that framework and we'll see what we can do. And then we'll come back as a group and flesh it out again. Everybody all right? Okay. And let me check with my co-host. There you are, Brad. Were we able to work to get, help me with pronounce your first name. Is it Yeet?
Yes, yeet.
Okay. So we said it pretty close. Okay, great. We want to be sure is included in a group.
Yeah, just brace yourself. The only way I knew to include him was to recreate the groups, so people may be shuffled. Okay. I'm not sure.
If it shuffles, well then again, just go ahead and work within that context. Whatever idea you shared in the past group, bring it up again and then work with a solution on it. And again, we're kind of learning our way through this, so we'll get the best information we can. Okay, here we go. Okay, everybody, you're coming back. Most of you are smiling. Nobody's run away yet, so it's not hurting too bad, I hope. I can't tell you how wonderful this is. You're helping us so much help our annual meeting in doing this. So I'm so appreciative of it. Let me be sure. Can you still see my little worksheet screen that I have here?
Yes.
So everybody's okay. All right. So what we did is we talked about what stands in our way, and I've left, we got 3 or 4 ideas here for each of these issues. Line those up a little better. Okay. And so let's come back and look at room 1 and see if you had any thoughts on any of these, or if you even had random thoughts, we can probably match them pretty easy.
Yeah.
So
Don, I'll report back, and we had lots of thoughts, and I will try to keep them succinct, and they don't necessarily match directly with anything.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay. So what opens the way? So one idea was to pick each individual member of the committee picks their passion and goes in that direction. So there's kind of this shared support of individual initiative that we use committee time when we have meetings to report on our activities and to ask for feedback and advice from the committee. So we use that for a time for check-in accountability. There was the idea for creative solutions for supporting activists. So the idea was to actually pay a student a certain amount for hourly, like 20 hours a week or 20 hours a month. There was what opens the way was the idea to recommit to the Quaker value. So recommit to even the taking on the risk of jail the way that early Quakers did. There was the idea of continuing the internal transformation of peacemaking, so taking training for internal transformation. And there was the idea to have shared educational time in the committee and in the meeting. So inviting in experts to give seminars on hot button topics. And finally, with regards to challenging members who are obstinate, like obstacles and individuals who are obstructing, to essentially work around them instead of continually trying to fight them directly. So that's, and if room one, if anybody wants to correct or add anything.
Don, can you show the rooms again?
Can. Let's see.
The room changed, yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay. And so anybody else in room one want to add to that list that we just did? Oh, okay, everybody's good. Let's go to room two. And we see Jack, Joseph, and Kitty.
Oh, and one more, because this came up at the end. Sorry, Don. We also had what opens the way is to get connected to each other with our contact information because we want to stay in touch. I don't know if you all were planning on doing that.
Okay, awesome. Now, I don't know how to make this a bullet list quite yet. I'm sure there is a way to do it. I just hadn't gotten there. Let me come up here real quick under format, font alignment. Okay, not to worry. When I come back and rework this, I will match these into the list here. Okay, so that they'll all go in there and you'll be getting copies of all of this. I'm going to, though, for a moment, move this down here just so I don't lose it or encumber it. Okay, room two. Do you want to do the same way, just bullet it out, and I'll match later, or what helps?
Not sure exactly where to put it in terms of boxes, but
okay, let's just go ahead and do them, and I'll match them up while you're in your next small group.
Have two main points to make.
Okay.
We were all getting acquainted with new meetings in this group. So we had to spend some moments talking about what the challenges were that we were feeling before we could address the question of what opened the way. Two of the challenges had to do with the committee's role and control over donations made on the part of the meeting. And in both cases, there was a need to look at the history and the satisfaction with the way that those decisions were made, and either come back to or to adjust the relationship between the committee and their recommendations and the meeting's decision. So what opened the way was really to look at the history and make sure that the donation process was something that was a meeting decision, whether it started in the committee or not. So how do we make donation decisions that are that really represent the meeting's point of view? That was number one. That was two of us had issued a report like that. The third was simpler. It was if I do work on social justice in my day job, is that a good preparation for me to serve on a Peace and Justice Committee, or is that going to create challenges? So what opened the way for this person was to hear a bit about how people were talking about their work on Peace and Social Justice Committees, and to feel like it would be easier. It was open to this person to join the committee, even though there was some worry on this person's part about whether her secular experience would be a detriment or a help. So what opened the way was hearing more from other peace and justice committees' experience. That person felt like they were in a better position to declare their interest and to try to help their meetings committee.
Good. All right. Okay, room 3. Who's in room 3, Brad?
Does that include Bill?
Yes, you're room 3, Bill.
Okay, so room 3, we were talking about one of the problems that blocked the way was a previous bad experience. And so we were talking about some ways of sort of having a vision that of a healthy group, sort of as we're introducing the new group, sort of visualizing this positive group and understanding that it would have to meet different needs. So there'd be different needs in the group for healing or for action, and trying to make space for both of those or multiple needs in the new group. Might be subcommittees, might be, you know, different times that we had on the agenda. Also, normalizing how group process works, that there's this well-known process where there's forming, storming, norming, and performing, and that many groups want to go from forming to performing without the storming, figuring out what's important to us, what our issues do we care about, and norming, how do we want to work together, what expectations do we have for each other. So this idea of sort of normalizing that it could be a rocky ride, you know, in the beginning, but you know, Quakers have done it for centuries and we can do it together.
Awesome.
There was also this idea that there's really a need for skilled leadership in the clerking of these meetings. In order for people to have a couple of good meetings, they experience it going well, being managed well, it builds their confidence. So there probably needs to be some leadership development around this, mentoring or support for clerking peace and justice work, and also some individual development on dealing with big emotions that come up around this work. So sort of helping people manage their own strong reactions when somebody comes down on the different side of an issue. So there's some of that work that could be important. Lauralee, I'm on a Zoom call right now, so I'm sorry. And was there anything else here that we wanted to talk about? Also, just developing awareness of the different starting places where people come into the group, and sort of making it okay for people to come in with different levels of experience or expectations. I think that's it. We had one bit about acknowledging that we may need new pathways for the modern day Quaker. And so we should, while we want to honor the Quaker ways of the past, we also need to sort of be thinking creatively.
Wonderful. Okay, group 4.
Yeah, that's me, or I wrote it down. When we were talking about getting people involved, 3 things came up. Short action people can join in without being part of the committee, but to see what the committee is doing. Limit the monthly meetings to 1 hour. So those that have limited time know that they're not tied up. And also having set times and dates help. We also talked about feeling good, making them feel that it's their committee and their input is important. We also talked about some basic ground rules. Either a 10-minute debate on issues or some limited. And the convener should be comfortable. I'm waiting for you to type it up. Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, and the convener should be comfortable with saying that you've taken a lot of time. We need to share this time in a gentle Quaker way. And another thing we were talking about was the faith and practices, which are really a good way to understand the Quaker meeting. And make sure that it's hopeful, that it's not all negative and down. So many of the members of my meeting are getting sick because of these events, and we have to teach them it's a sprint. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Okay. All right, very good.
Now, the one thing you put there is you put clerk's guide, but I'm talking about the convener to lead.
So in our meeting, the person that convenes is the clerk. So is there a distinction there? I'm just not aware of it.
It just happens how we do it a little bit differently than you, but
Okay.
that's
So let's
fine.
use the word convener. How do you spell that, Barbara? Convene.
Nor. Good enough.
It's N-O-R. I
Yep.
can't spell as well as type. So that's just the humor that I add for a contribution. Okay. Everybody good?
One other thing, may I correct?
Okay.
You have a sprint, not a marathon, but it is a marathon, not a sprint, just reversed.
Ah, there we go. Thank you so much, Phil.
Well, thank you for typing so quickly.
Okay. Actually, that's about the only thing I learned to do in high school that served me my whole life. Everything else, I think I slept through class. Okay, now we got one more piece. Okay, and we've got about 20 minutes to do it. So we're going to step lively. Okay. And it's fine that at this point, we're here because we can always come back and expand this. But if we take those ideas of what stands in our way, folks are full busy, and we say, well, what might help us open the way? Well, maybe make the meeting brief and stay on point. Okay, well, then what can we do right now? Okay, the idea is if you take the problem and a potential solution, what specific thing could you try out? Could you test? Could you maybe see what you could take back to your meeting as a thought that might be helpful to them? Okay, so it's the do step. Here's where we get to the actual action. So if you go back into your groups on the issues list that you read to me, and you think of several of those where you could say, what could we do on purpose to do that? And again, I'm going to give you the idea of what I mean is like, well, you know what? If we don't have enough people, let's just invite someone. Let's just start doing one-on-one invitations, personal invitations, and people can decide whether they want to come and visit. Let's ask people to come join a project, not a committee. And that was a great suggestion. Okay, and that way they try everything out and they can connect with the group. Or maybe if we're stressed to the max with all of this, we can do some training in mind, body, spirit. Emotional management. How do you handle things when you're triggered? If we don't have resources, let's ask directly for the investment from somebody in the group. If they have money, if they have time, if they have skill, ask them to come help. Those are ideas that are specific things that you can actually do and come back and report on. So that's just illustrations. Okay, so I'm going to put you back in your group now. And I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give everybody 2 minutes this time. No, not, I'm so sorry. We're going to give everybody 3 minutes this time, not 5. Okay, and then so we'll have enough time to come back and report. Okay, so we're gonna cut things down, Brad, to maybe a 10-minute breakout, and everybody take about 2 or 3 minutes. See what ideas you can bring back. Thank you, everybody. We're in the home stretch now. Appreciate you. Here we go. Okay, we're back and we've got just a few minutes. And so we're going to do the best we can to still get this wrapped up. And what I'm going to do is, again, rather than try to match, you'll notice what I did is I took the ideas that you shared and I made little brief statements to match them up here. And I didn't quite get done. Okay, but it'll get us a start. And then what we'll do is I'm going to, again, take your thoughts on what we can do now, and then I'll come back and I'll match those. And then I'll send these to everybody, okay, since you've given us your name and we know you where you are, or if you want to be so kind as to type in your email address, that'd make it easier for me, but it's just up to you. And then we'll be able to see how this list came together. When we have our next seminar, part 2, which is on the 27th, I believe, a couple weeks from today, if you can attend, we'd really love to have you come back, as well as others. And what we're going to do basically in that seminar is you're going to find we're going to basically take this bottom section, and those are the things we're going to be talking about. What do you do when people can't get along, when they're obstinate, when they get into conflicts, when you have to lay a meeting down, those sort of things. So we're going to really get into the practicalities of that. But for now, let me go ahead and start. How about group 1? Can you give me a list?
Okay, this one feels harder for some reason this time. So one thing to do now is we reported back as I statements. So first, Diane said to approach the meeting, the committee, without the apprehension, to approach it with the mindset of this will work, that there's something positive will come from this. This is in response to having a bad history previously. So approaching it with positive outlook. Another idea was,
Hang on one second. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I did to get those crazy lines there. Let me
okay.
try again. Okay. All right. So the first one was approach meeting.
Approach the committee work with a positive outlook.
Okay.
Item 2, Robin, I might need your help for this one, but it was to, yeah, I'm blanking. So Robin, go ahead. If you can say it in one sentence.
Well, I don't know. I had a couple ideas. One is I had some videos that I really like that are free online. One of them was A Force More Powerful, sort of an overview of nonviolent actions. The other one was called Bring Down a Dictator, is one of my favorite videos. Both of them are free online. And the other one was a resource. It's a global nonviolent action database at Swarthmore College. It's free and accessible to everybody.
Okay. Robin, while we continue this, if you type the names of those into the chat, then I'll be able to add them in. Okay. And that'll give us the ones that you're referring to. Whatever you know about them is fine. Okay. Anything else real quick?
Yes, there's 2 more.
Okay.
Another from Claire was to bring the report of this meeting back to the committee, with encouragement to access the video recordings as a resource. And the 4th one that I shared was to continue participating in the peace trainings personally. I'm going to do that, and to commit to facilitating them as I reach a certain level of skill.
Excellent. Again, just okay. All right, we're good here. So let's go to group 2. Thank you, group 1. I'm not gonna stop correct spelling. Okay, group 2. Do you know who you are? Do we need to tell them, Brad, who's in group 2?
That's Jack, Joseph, and Kitty.
Oh. You're muted, Jack. Jack, you're muted.
I wanted to know if either of my other two members might want to report on our ideas about what
Just a couple bullet
make the
points
way
real
open.
quick. Yeah. Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, group 2 is still thinking about what they might want to say. So let's go to group 3 real quick. Only because we're right at
Bill
4.
Waters here.
Okay.
We thought about the skill of clerking is important. Maybe one Quaker meeting hosts a skilled trainer on this topic, and then other meetings are invited to send somebody to come. So it's sort of be leadership development was one of the ideas that we wanted to work on. We also had this metaphor about marathon, not a sprint. Marathon takes training. So developing the metaphor about the different pieces of training that we would need to do for our group. So there's personal, like emotional skills training, there's understanding group process. So there might be sort of a metaphor that's developed and then used to help a group work through a variety of topics. And then the last one was the challenge of dealing with people who have really strong emotions within your own meeting, developing something like spiritual companioning, a small group, maybe 3 people, 2 of them listen to a third person on their strong emotions related to peace and social issues. And you develop some sort of a guideline for how you would spend an hour debriefing and listening to supporting a person with strong feelings. And that would be like, if you had 12 people in your committee, you might have a number of small groups where people rotate around and listen to each other. We didn't flesh it out, but it was sort of some idea about these big emotions within our own meetings. Maybe there's a way to both do some healing and some learning about others.
Great context. Great ideas. Okay, let's switch over now to group 4.
Okay, for group 4, from the top to the bottom, we talked about educating the meeting about issues. Like have a forum, have speakers there, but also what I request if somebody's going to do a forum, that you add action. What kind of action do the people can take? The other thing is we need to work more on local action. We get involved with the food pantry. Within Michigan, we work with the indigenous community, and these are things that are pulling our members into our meeting. We also were talking about a statement or letter that could be hashed out through the business meeting to send to Trump about our positions. The other thing was I gave a caution that we have to be careful about what political groups we support because we are a nonprofit besides a spiritual group.
Right. Yeah, and the committee can really help people keep that balance. That's really good. Okay, back to group number 2. Anybody come up with one of the ideas we can add a thought?
Very quickly, we had 3 different people in 3 different meetings in 3 different places. One way that opened for one member was that to use the program hour they have before worship to present a peace and justice issue.
Oh, good.
A second was one of our members of our group just felt like the session had helped the way open for her to participate in peace and justice activities in the meeting without worries about being too secular. The third was that the meetings committee, which is functioning well, is about to enter into the annual period of rotating members off and on, and that transition period needs to be minded for its success so that the continuity in the work of the committee is preserved.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. All good. Friends, this was way beyond my expectation that we'd be able to get this much in this shorter period of time. And I know it's a little unsatisfying because ideally we'd all take a break and then come back and kind of review this as a group and celebrate putting this together. So I'm going to, again, pull it together, synthesize it, digest it as best I can, send it out to you. Really appreciate any feedback you give me on it if you think I got something wrong or missed something. And then when we have our next group, we'll be able to review our work here today and take a look at some of the issues that are before us then. Okay, with that, I'm going to conclude and my heartfelt thanks to all of you.
Don, just a reminder, you wanted to have come back to folks who had resources and maybe invite them to drop it in the chat or something, books that were mentioned, videos.
Yes, thank you. If you did have any particular resource or particular that you would like to direct our attention to, I can include that as well.
I put the Being a Quaker and Being an Activist pamphlet in the chat, the link to it.
Okay. All right, let me find my chat. There it is. Okay, good. And okay, I see that they're all right. Then the last thing I think I'm going to give, I think you guys all have this in the chat. I put my email address, and again, feel free if there's something you didn't get to share that you would like to. And so somehow mine went to just one person. I don't know how I did that. And so now I'll be sure you all have access to it. Okay, so we're done. I'm going to leave the room open for about a half hour if anybody wants to stay and talk or have something that we missed. So everybody, we're done. We're at the rise of the workshop. Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks.
Thank you, organizers. Thank you.
Really appreciated all of you being with us today. Thank you.
So Don, can you hear me?
I can, Robin. Thank you.
Hey, I was wondering if I could just give you the resources. I'm having trouble typing them in.
Oh, sure. That'd be great. Thank you for staying to do that. Let me put a note right here.
That George Lakey uses a lot because he taught at Swarthmore, but it's a global nonviolent action database, and it's from all international, all over the world and in the United States, and it has examples of nonviolent actions, and there's a bunch of them in there.
Okay.
And the other one, I went to a training that was sponsored by Indivisible and some other groups last week, and they recommended some videos that I've liked from the past. And one of them is A Force More Powerful. It's a great history of nonviolent direct action. And the other one is Bring a Dictator Down, about how Milosevic in Serbia, a young student group, basically a youth group, got together and they did really creative nonviolent action to bring a dictator down. So I think both those are good free videos online.
All right, online videos. Okay.
Yeah, and the
great.
other one is George Lakey's book is called How We Win, and we use that a lot in the nonviolent training in our area because it's sort of a how-to book in terms of making social change.
I have a copy of that.
Yeah, that's a great book, isn't it?
It really is. Have you got
I've been,
have you
I've been
got
giving people a copy of this book called On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder,
oh
which is
yeah,
a very short little book, but it's very apropos to our time.
he wrote that a while back and then just put out a revised edition. Again, just came out.
And they have a graphic edition. Did you know that?
No. Oh, it's a wonderful little book. Also, George Leahy kind of came out with an autobiography written from the perspective of the actions and things he's been in. Can't
Yeah.
remember the title of it, but it was a wonderful
My,
read.
my my partner and I read that together out loud. That was great.
Yeah, I thought it was wonderful too.
He was part of the movement for New Society in Philadelphia, so
Yep.
it's nice the way things bounce around.
Yep.
And are you going to send us a list of the contacts for people in the group so we can contact them?
I think so. If I have them for everybody, I think I'll be able to pull them together.
I'm not
So,
sure I gave you mine. Can I just give it to you verbally?
oh yeah, thank you. Okay.
It's pretty relatively simple. Robin, ROBIN, number 4, TN, as in Tennessee, at gmail.com.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank you.
so much for the workshop. That was a wonderful idea. I'm going to be giving a workshop at the Lake Erie yearly meeting on networking and stuff. So if maybe that would be a continuation from some of the things we do here.
Yeah, that's great. Robin, which group are you with again? Which meeting?
Athens, Ohio. Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry, I broke up. I couldn't.
I'm the clerk for the peace and we call it peace and social concerns. Same idea as peace and justice.
Yeah, and what meeting is it? Because you broke up a little bit.
Athens Friends Meeting.
Athens Friends. Good. Hey, here's a thought. I don't know if you'd be open to it or not, but when we opened up our meeting today, Phil Volk came from Ann Arbor and told us a little bit about the work they've done and sort of the challenges they've overcome to cast a little bit of vision and normalize. This is something we're all struggling with. I wonder, Robin, if you'd be willing to come and do the same thing for us on the 27th at our meeting about your work with the Athens group.
Well, the thing I'm most exciting about is how members of our group have gone out into the community. This neighbors group I mentioned that supports the immigrants and trans population first, but also other things. It's just so exciting because in Athens, Ohio, I mean, it's a pretty progressive little university town, but a lot of people came, a lot of community members came to this meeting that was organized by Peggy Geish, who's a member of our meeting. And she's also gone to speak because she's lived in Palestine or in the West Bank. And so she's a great resource for our area. But anyway, if I'm going to talk, I'd rather talk about the way our committee has reached out to the community, but I'd be happy to do that.
Well, that would be good. Could you do in about 10 minutes or so? Just kind of give us a little taste.
Sure.
Okay.
How many of the groups are sort of university groups? I know Ann Arbor is, and Columbus, Ohio, and I'm just here 2 years, so I used to belong to the SAMA, the Southern Appalachian Yearly Meeting, because I lived in West Virginia.
Right.
So I'm new to Lake Erie Yearly Meeting, but are there quite a few university towns?
Well, I'm trying to think of who all we have, but there are universities and colleges all over Ohio. So, there'd certainly be in Dayton. Certainly, I'm trying to think in our meeting though for Lake Erie yearly meeting, we've got Michigan. So you've got the University of Michigan. We've got Pittsburgh is in our group, and so you've got University of Pittsburgh. If you just look sort of at the map for the yearly meeting, you'll know the major universities that are there.
That's great. Yeah. It helped me because I came from West Virginia, and when I moved there in '74, it was very progressive. It had the the most labor union members in the whole country per capita. And that's because of the United Mine Workers, but still it was a great thing. And then lately, West Virginia has been the most pro-Trump percentage-wise voters and stuff. And of course, it's a heartbreak because it's one of the poorest states in the country. But
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
but anyway, but I salute you for what you've done. I think it's great pulling people together, and it's quite possible we're going to have some really rough times. But the best
Yeah.
antidote to that is the kind of thing you're doing. So
Yeah.
I say,
I hope so.
thank you very much.
Well, you're sure welcome. Okay. Oh, and let me get your phone number, Robin, so I can call you if I need to reach out to you about it.
304-953-9023. Call or text, whichever.
Okay.
Carry
304.
my phone when I go out and garden. So if it's a sunny day, just leave a text message or something. I'll get back to you.
Okay. So it's 304-952-9023.
Not 953-9023.
953. So I'm going to say it again. 304-953-9023.
Perfect.
Oh, good. Okay, great. And then when I send you, I'll give you mine as well.
Okay, great.
Don,
Yes, sir.
Don, I sent you my email in chat.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Let me
Yeah,
come up
but
here.
Robin, I had a question for you. You mentioned a international nonviolent action database, accessible where?
Swarthmore College.
Oh, Swarthmore College.
Yeah, you know, George Lakey, he worked on it when he was teaching there, and
Oh, I
it's
see.
been around for a while, but they keep adding to it. They get the students.
So it's a live one, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not just a dead thing, but
Right.
it's and the official name of it is let's see, I had it here. Where was it? Anyway, if you go to Swarthmore College, the nonviolent database will be available, and they try to document all of the nonviolent actions. And are you familiar with the that book about how civil disobedience works by Chenoweth up
No.
at she's Harvard Kennedy School?
No, I'm not.
Anyway,
No.
that's a wonderful book. She's gotten several of them. One of them is an update of it, but I think I have the older one not too far away here. I think it's basically called How Civil Disobedience Works, and it's a great book for you know,